Well, welcome to Focus on Crestview. I'm Dino Sinopoli, RE/MAX Agency 1, and the current president of the Chamber. Today I'm really excited to have with me from Rocky Bayou Christian School, our sponsor this last Thursday's breakfast, Dr. Mike Mosley. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Today we wanted to kind of learn a little bit more. I know you were on last year. We got some insight, and it's always exciting things. Even when you made your presentation to us at the Chamber breakfast, I learned something new every time. So, well, Dr. Mosley, maybe tell me, what do you do there? What's your role?
Well, I have done pretty much everything over my 30 years at the school. So right now I'm the superintendent, which is sort of the guy that is responsible for making sure that the school stays on its mission and accomplishes the tasks that the board of directors has set out. We're an independently governed school that has representatives from 5 area churches on the board of directors. So that's a kind of an unusual arrangement at least in the southeast for Christian schools. Usually they're the ministry of one church, and we're actually aiming at serving lots of churches in the community.
Right, so kind of an outreach, and again, it kind of helps build the school and gets more support. And I know I've always heard good things about your school everywhere I go.
Well, thank you. We've got over 100 different churches represented in our student body, and over 50 different churches represented in our faculty and staff. So it's a very diverse group.
Yeah, and so that again, it leads me to, what are your academic programs that you have then that you're
well, we're a K through 12 school, so we're, I guess the analogy in our county, in Okaloosa County, would be like Laurel Hill School or Baker School, where we go from the little tiny tots up to the kids graduating from high school. We also have 2 pre-K grades that we actually start kindergarten early, and that's really one of our hallmarks, is the idea of advanced early education. So our elementary program typically will have kids 2 or 3 grade levels ahead, a class when they do their standardized testing that far ahead in reading, and a little bit less than that in math, because we're teaching 4-year-olds how to read, and we really have seen over time that that's the basis of so much of the rest of your education is your reading comprehension. So that's something that we really put a lot of emphasis on. Our other programs, we have kind of an old New England style prep school model for our what we call our academy. That's our 7th through 12th grade program. So that's a program that focuses on college preparatory classes. It also, we're a small school. Our high school last year was about 200 students, and we're trying to give our kids a big school experience. So lots of athletics, lots of fine and performing arts, and a dedicated leadership training program. And so that idea that training up young people to sort of be the leaders of tomorrow is very much in the original idea of the school. And in the late 80s, we were noticing that a lot of kids would come to us with some deficits educationally. Maybe they were behind in math or behind in reading. So we started a remediation program back in the 80s that has grown into one of the hallmarks of our program now, which is our special services. And this is a program that includes educational therapies, and still does remediation, but it also focuses on students with learning differences that helps them to achieve their full potential. So in our current school year that we just finished, we had 700 students roughly, and we had about 190 students in that special services program, and that's a K through 12 program as well. Many of those students will graduate and go on to college with bright futures. So it's really a remarkable program, and we have schools from all over the country come in to basically watch our special services program and take notes. And so we've been influential in programs across the country's improvement and people starting programs to model ours. So we're very proud of that.
And that's right here, close to us, the listening audience. And And I know it's so important. I hear that all the time, especially your kindergarten, pre-kindergarten, and all that stuff. And they say, learn to read, do all that stuff, and your kids will have a big advantage. So, and then you're taking it all the way up to the leadership, where you're taking. We were talking about your LT classes, leadership training, and.
Well, we're convinced that kind of what we were saying off camera, that a lot of the things that you and I do every day in our jobs, the planning, the management, the getting people together to work on a common task or a common project, that's really something that that the better schools are helping students get prepared for. So you mentioned that your son went to the collegiate charter school and they have a capstone project. Well, we want every student to have sort of the experience of taking something from an idea to its execution and working together, because so much of what we have to do in our professional life to be successful is basically working with other people and seeing an idea through its inception all the way to the actual event. So we do a lot of work with the kids on that, and we actually restructured our student leadership program this past year to give, we kind of went from the traditional, student government president, vice president, treasurer system to what we call a prefect system, where they serve as committee chairs in a certain area of school life. So we have a committee chair, a prefect for admissions, a prefect for the social calendar, a prefect for development of the school, a prefect for academics, prefect for sports, for fine arts. And these students basically have a committee of students and faculty sponsors that work with them to sort of oversee that area of school life and what improvements would they like to see. And so rather than having 5 or 6 kids working in student government, last year we had 45 kids working in student government, and it was really remarkable. And we sort of stole the idea from the boarding schools up east, but it's really been a remarkable experience for us. So we're excited to year 2.
Well, I think that is so important. I know I personally am involved, leadership of the chamber, and I've also been a director in our real estate boards, and that's what it is. It's just people getting together and solving problems and having input. And like you said, that's bolstered up your student involvement, because now they're shaping their own destiny. And, and that's like that capstone, and where it's your idea, you bring the people together, and then you have a finished product at the end, and you're leading, you're bringing people together, and that's what creates great events. And
I think anybody that's worked in education would tell you that when a student takes ownership of their own education, and they realize that an education isn't something that happens to you, although too frequently that's exactly what it is, but it's something that should be developing within you, and that an education should broaden you and strengthen you and help you to sort of get your chin up and maybe not think about the next 5 minutes so much as the next 5 years or the next 15 years. And so one of the things that we really are trying to accomplish with our students is in that maturation process is to help them to see that really so much of their future is in their hands. God's given them gifts and abilities that He wants them to develop, but there's so many places that they can go and things that they can do. And so that the sort of getting kids to catch the vision of what an education can do for them has really been critical to our success. So,
and what would you say is your one priority through your education and planning?
Well, we're critically concerned with young people having a sense of God's calling in their life. So many times kids grow up without really a sense of who they are, why am I here, what am I supposed to do? And in the Christian context of the school, we can tell them that God has made them for a purpose, and that He's given them gifts and abilities that He expects them to develop for His glory. And that service of others as part of what we're all called to do. So, you're in a job where you're serving people, you're helping people achieve dreams of home ownership, and you're in a service industry. Education is a service industry, so I'm called as a teacher to help kids learn certain skills mathematically, let's say. so much of what God puts in us is really designed to help other people. And so this leadership training program, the kids that are going to come on and talk about playing sports, the idea of sort of working together as a team and the greater good being something that we're willing to sort of sacrifice our own self-interest to serve is something I think is critical. So we basically say it in our mission statement that we want kids to have a biblical understanding of the world around them. We want them to have the character, the Christian character to basically live successfully, and then we want them to have develop those skills and abilities really as far as they can go, as fast as they can get there. And that's really, I think, the sum of what we're trying to do with kids. And again, you know, we don't know what they're going to do with the next 20 years of their lives, or 30 or 40 or 50 years, but we do know that you know, God has made us for His purposes, and that, you know, our chief end is to love and serve Him with all our hearts, minds, souls, and strengths. So that's what we're after as a school.
Right. And I guess that's when people are choosing where to send their kids. Why a Christian school? I mean, there's so many types of education out there. What would be the reason, or what would you say to choose a Christian school?
Well, I'm obviously biased. I would say, again, that the most important responsibility that you and I will ever have is being dads. And what we have with our children is a period of time where we're basically stewarding them. In other words, we're hopefully training them, loving them, nourishing them, cherishing them, but we're also teaching them how to live, and how to live in a way that'll be successful. And we're essentially trying to raise Christian grown-ups is what we're after. And so that responsibility is the most important job you or I will ever have. So as a school, we believe that we're servants of parents to help them achieve that. Now again, you know, there are many, many great schools in the town and county that we live in, and so there are lots of options. But I would say that if parents, you know, looked at our mission statement and said, that's really what I want my child to be at the end of the day, that's what we're engaged in, that's what we're working on. And again, you know, kids are all kids, and you know, every educator in Okaloosa and Walton County are working on the same project, really, I think. And you know, we're going about it perhaps slightly different ways, but you know, we're all working on the same thing. Right.
Well, I really appreciate it's been informative. Again, I always enjoy having you here, and again, sponsoring the breakfast and being a good a chamber member as well. So thank you so much.
You, Dino.
And
it's a
I'm
pleasure
looking
to
excited to talk to some of the students and get a little insight onto what's all.
And we're going to miss you not being president next year.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Have a very lively chamber meeting.
That is, it's ending really quickly. I'm getting choked up about it already. So anyways, thanks again, and we're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back with some excellent students.